Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Ice Mac MMA podcast. I'm Jackson McCarty, joined as always with Alex Eisman, and we've got a lot of good news, a lot of fun fights that happened this weekend. But before we get into any of that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever it is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. You can find us on all three, helps us out a ton. And also, before we get into the news aspect of it, we do have biggest winners and losers from this card, but instead of laying them out, at the front, we're going to pretty much landmine situation it where whenever their fight pops up, we'll tell you, hey, this was my biggest winner, this was my biggest loser, and at the end of all the recaps, we'll kind of put it all back in a bow and just say them again real quickly. Now, Alex, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. It was a good weekend for you, my man.
Yeah.
Gotta give props where they're due, but at the same time, I am a hater. So before we get into our fights, I just need to let the people know that you did in fact mess up your own name
Yep.
before we got on this podcast.
I was
And
Jackson McCordy for a second.
it's the very beginning. You can cut it out, but like there's some animosity on Saturday when particularly in the Gilbert JDM fight. But
Yeah.
um yeah, so I'm going full hater mode
And
and
dude,
just letting the people know that you can't say your own name.
and listen, I get it. If it was flip reversed, I'd have done the exact same thing. I can't even hate on the move. I respect it even. But yeah, I'm not gonna leave it in because there's way too much of an awkward pause between whenever I got done with that take and whenever I started the actual one. So that it's just gonna make me look insane. But
Yeah,
yes, that
no,
did
I
happen.
mean you got to leave it out. You got to take
Yeah.
that out. It's right at the beginning of the record. I just
Well, guess what
needed
else is gonna be right at
because
the
it was
beginning of the
cut
record?
out. I just needed to remind everyone that it
Well,
happened.
well, Alex, guess what else is going to be at the beginning of the record? You saying that I said my name wrong. What's the difference?
Well, we got a little further in. That was literally the first 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's true.
First 5 seconds.
We at
We
least
went
had
for
30
like
seconds
a
of
minute.
pad before. Yeah, I'm about to say we at least got 30 seconds of pad before you ousted me. You want to know who else got ousted, Alex? Francis Ngannou from the sport of boxing. That
Yikes.
I have
Yeah.
never been more, well, I say that. I am so pumped that Anthony Joshua is not washed. Do you understand
I
how happy
mean,
that makes me?
this is confusing because now it's did Tyson Fury even try and train for this fight?
No, dude, I think that they just put an 0-0 boxer in the ring with legit knockout power and MMA skills and abilities. He's been an MMA world champion in the ring, and nobody knew how to face him. So you get, what was it, 6 rounds against Fury?
No, they went to I thought it was 8 or 10.
Okay,
Might have
eight,
been even
10,
yeah, might have been
however many rounds it was. You got that much tape on him. And a guy like Anthony Joshua actually had all those minutes to watch and said, you know what? That's an easy guy to beat. But whenever you don't have any tape on the dude other than him flatlining dudes that are 260 pounds in the octagon, it's like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah, and that was kind of what I took away from it because it's not like Tyson looked any different than he has in his other, boxing matches.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is just you got to see Francis's tendencies in the ring, um, and the MMA to boxing crossover once again kind of getting exposed because I would never have imagined Francis getting folded like that in my entire life.
He went down in a cartoon like fashion.
Like that was unbelievable.
Yeah. The fight to make now, though, is Francis versus Wilder because they're kind of similar, like put you out, but they don't really do that great on defense. Like Wilder would also starch Francis worse than AJ did. But if there is a stylistic match that's going to make money and not send him down into the guys that nobody really knows outside of boxing fans, Deontay's as close as you're getting, I think.
I guess I just don't know how you can justify Francis fighting another guy like that, another one of the top three, four heavyweights in the world after he just got murdered, literally murdered. He got executed.
Maybe he'll do what all the rest of the celebrity boxers do and fight like I don't know, Mike Tyson.
Let's have Francis fight Jake Paul. How about that?
Well, Jake Paul's going to heavyweight, and they're both PFL contracted fighters.
How about we do that?
I'd be into that.
Yeah, get Jake Paul's face just punched into the center of the earth.
Well, I'm
I'd
hoping Mike
enjoy that.
Tyson. I must. I'm hoping Mike Tyson just beats him, which is not a realistic thing. But like, this is also the second actual fighter that Jake's fought, and the first one kind of pieced him up. Tommy Fury looked comfortably better than Jake Paul out there.
We are not calling Mike Tyson an actual fighter right now. That dude is
I
60.
mean, not anymore, but he still has the fundamentals of the sport. And dude, you know how much like HGH or like testosterone replacement or because you know that a Jake Paul fight is not going to be like an actually sanctioned thing. He's fighting a 60-year-old. No sanction, no government entity would let Mike Tyson get into an octagon. The dude uses a walking stick to get around.
I know. Like,
So
I don't know how this is legal.
so inject whatever you have to into Mike Tyson to make Jake Paul go CP night night and let's be done with this.
I don't see a world where that's possible. And I hope it is. I hope it happens. But like that is a senior citizen.
Yes.
Literally. Like we talk about Tyron Woodley and Nate Diaz about them being old. This is a senior citizen.
Tyson is legitimately 58 years old.
Like it's it's not that's like elder abuse, dude.
Yeah. Except for Tyson signed a contract permitting elder abuse in the situation.
I don't get it.
It's a
I
shame.
don't get it. But
And we didn't even mean to bring up that. I just thought it'd be a funny joke for the Francis thing, but here we
yeah.
are. Yeah, we need to stop giving the Jake Paul any little light on pods like this because like he's not if he's not going to fight like actual in their prime type boxers, he shouldn't be on an MMA, Ultimate Combat, any kind of podcast pertaining to real professionals who are actually doing the job.
Yeah. The bottom line, the lesson from this part of the pod though is like let's get Francis back in the PFL
Yes,
cage and fighting MMA
just fighting really tall guys.
so he can be Francis Ngannou, you know?
Yes, yes. End of the story. And then a guy that we did not have on our prediction sheet last week, but we absolutely need to talk about Rebellis to Spain. His fight was all of 18 seconds.
Yes, so his last four fights have lasted a combined 37 seconds, I believe it
Yes.
was.
Well,
Um,
because he had a 3, a 4, a 13, and now an 18.
yes.
Which, how do you knock somebody out in 3 seconds?
You literally touch gloves and then it's a one punch KO. Like that's yeah.
But quickly, for anybody who didn't catch the fight, because it was early prelims, it's an easy one to miss if you're not planted on the couch as soon as the card starts. So he bull rushes his opponent, proceeds to fall down, and then gets up and backpedal KOs a grown man.
Yes.
He,
Literally off balance.
keep in mind, everything I just said happened in 18 seconds. He is what did I comp him to? Sergey on rollerblades?
No, you said Struve, I said
Yeah.
Sergey.
Because I
Yeah.
thought because I thought Despain was touching 7 foot. He's 6'7". So Sergey on rollerblades is far more apt.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is similarly big and scary as Francis. Obviously the skill level TBD,
Yes.
but in terms of literally his physical build, he is a large human being, a scary human being. And he ends fights in under 30 seconds. That's
And
apparently his thing.
Aspinall would starch all three.
No, that is false. That is not true.
Aspinall would starch Francis. He would starch John. He would starch most buildings. Um, he is just a world beater at the end of the day. But
He
just a man.
definitely does not starch Francis, dude.
Oh, but you
Or
left John
John.
in there. Oh, there we go.
He doesn't starch either of them.
Either way, Rebellis to Spain, keep your eyes open. He's a hard dude to miss. Again, he's 6'7" and fights in heavyweight. Bleach blonde hair and just kind of skids around
And he's
like
not
a
fat. He's
no,
cut.
he is
He is
ripped. But
Yes.
also, if you're going to be 6'7" and not, ripped, like that's going to be a tough.
Yeah.
Like you might not even make heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's a hard one. But yeah, he's built like a football player or like like a linebacker. But he's at 6'7". He's a freak of nature. You got
Yes.
to make sure to watch for him.
Yes. 100%. But now we got a lot of ground to cover with this card, so let's get right into it with the main event, which was pretty much what we expected. I know we said Sean was going to KO him. He hit him with the KO shot. I
If
think he was
Cheeto Vera
there.
was a human being, he would have been KO.
Yeah.
But he's got a brick for a face. I
Like
mean,
that knee knocks out, I don't care who, every other bantamweight on the roster
that
besides
knocks
him.
out 98.7% of humans on this earth, dude.
Yeah.
That was horrifying. It sounded like the clacker they use when it's 10 seconds. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it was
Yes.
jarringly loud.
It definitely broke his face.
Yeah, it broke a cheekbone or something. Well, and it sounded very much like it broke something after
Yeah.
Cheeto was talking I mean, he couldn't speak. But all the props in the world for him to eating that. Sean was just the better fighter. Like that's just kind of how this whole ordeal goes. If you can't touch Sean, you're not winning the fight. And Sean is incredible at being evasive. Matter of fact, he's kind of making me come around on picking him over Marab. We're not going to talk about that yet. I'm kind of getting scared for Marab, but Sean calling out Ilya, also a point of contention. We gave him his flowers last week, 2 weeks ago, because he went out on social and was just like, all right, you guys are up my junk about fighting Ilya instead of Marab. I'll take the Marab fight, and then wins this fight and says, I want Ilya. It's like, well, what's happening? Why are you doing this?
So lame. So lame. But at
Did you
least
see him?
Dana was,
Go ahead.
huh?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just saying Dana after the fact was like, I don't love that after one title defense.
Good.
It's probably gonna be Marab.
Dana needs to hurry up and make 3 defenses before you can go for double belt. I
Yeah,
think
I like that.
that should be the barrier to entry.
I like that.
But what I was gonna say is, did you see him big time Rob backstage?
Sean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He kind of did make Rob look silly, and it made me very sad.
It's all right. Marab Marab is gonna be the one laughing whenever they fight at the end. So,
Marab the decision Dwalishvili.
hey, listen, he gets the job done.
He does.
He
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 does.
does get the job done.
And I don't dislike Marab. I actually like Marab more than I do Sean. Like from a human level, I'm not into Sean as a human. I'm just into him as a fighter and what he brings to the company. But Marab is a sweetheart and hilarious. That said,
Yes.
Sean is kind of starting to scare me. And I know it's Cheeto Vera, but like he dealt with Jan too. He dealt with Aljo as well. I know Marab is feistier than both of those dudes, but like, do I love the way that Sean has pretty much manhandled his way? Not Jan, obviously, but he got through Aljo pretty okay, and he definitely got through Cheeto all right. It's like it's starting to scare me a little bit with Marab.
I just don't after what Marab did to Jan and to Cejudo, you look at Marab's performance versus Piotr Jan and you look at Sean's performance. Marab 50-45 them.
Yeah,
Sean got lucky on a decision that should not have gone his way.
well, we've talked about
Respectfully.
that, but I think it was worthy of being a split decision. Like I had Sean winning that fight, you had Jan winning that fight. Like that's what a split decision is. Now, what is there more reason to give Sean the win there? Yeah, but like I don't know. I wouldn't go as far as to say he got lucky on the cards. I do think it was a genuinely toss up fight. But I see the point you're making.
Yes, but no, that was a complete showing out of him on Saturday. And yeah, I knew he was gonna beat the shit out of Cheeto
Yeah,
because
I mean we can't.
Cheeto didn't deserve the title shot.
Right. We were literally saying that. Like we've been saying that for months now. But that doesn't change the fact that it was a very entertaining fight.
Oh, very. Yeah.
And Cheeto being able to pull it to a decision kind of still gives him that ability to be like, well, Sean, you haven't actually beat me. You know what I mean? Like you didn't put me away. He kept all
No
the
one
build up,
can put him away.
right, but the whole build up of the fight, Sean just kept being like, I'm gonna get this guy out of here in a couple rounds. This, that, and the other. Right now it's 1-1. And the one finish, Cheeto technically has a finish on Sean. Sean does not have a finish on Cheeto. So like there's still that little bit of a mind thing, I think, at least.
I guess I just don't see a third fight happening anytime soon at all.
Yeah, no, no,
Maybe
no.
ever.
Cheeto needs at least 2 or 3 fights before you can possibly build that up. And even still, he did kind of come out of this looking like he had just been put through a meat grinder. Like it's not
Yes.
an easy image to get out of your head. But I take it neither of our biggest winners or biggest losers are in this fight. So
Nope.
let's go ahead and march on. Dustin Poirier, Benoit Saint Denis. Same here. I do not have a biggest winner or biggest loser here, but I'm going to let you take the floor on this because I know you're ready to victory lap.
I don't have a biggest winner or biggest loser here actually either. It's just God damn it, I was so happy to see Dustin do that, man. That was awesome.
Well, and based on what happened 2 fights before, I was kind of pumped for you. Because
Yeah.
I know you got pretty upset based on our texts. Um, but yeah, you needed a big Dustin win. Also, I'm going to oust you a little bit because of your calling me out for my name thing earlier. You, after we talked about the Jack Della and Gilbert fight, you actively told me you were going to prey on my downfall and make fun of me if Garbrandt gets slept.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
evil work, dude.
I'm a hater.
That is so
Listen,
evil.
I'm a hater.
You're not getting to avoid that though. Like that needs to be put on this podcast because that is evil work.
I would have said it myself as soon as April whatever day comes around when we record for that one.
Yeah,
I would have owned up to that. But
I know. It's just
regardless,
evil work.
Dustin made a night that was not going. Actually, it kind of was, but like the
It was a
Gilbert
fun
fight,
night.
not great. Jailton fight, obviously not great for me either.
Yeah,
Dustin made it all better because I was terrified of Benoit Saint-Denis. Like
as you
I
should be.
and it's a guy that I've praised a lot in the past. Was definitely worried about Dustin getting cracked by Gaethje in their last fight, but he just needs to stop jumping the gilly.
So
That's
bad.
the biggest takeaway. And I know he said that he's never gonna stop doing it. Um, and it feels like he had a couple close ones actually, one or
The
two.
the last one, like
Yeah,
right before he knocked out Benoit, yeah, I was like, oh my God, he actually got that one.
yeah.
Like
But
I got on my feet for that, dude. And I'm not
it's
a
just
Dustin guy.
doing that to a guy who's as good of a wrestler as Benoit. I was like, God, like you are throwing this fight away.
Dude,
But
I hope he never lands one until his retirement fight. And he's like down, 2-1, because they're not gonna have him in a 5 rounder or a belt fight for his last one, but he's down, 2-0 going into the third, and he jumps that gilly and gets him to tap. That would actually be the perfect ending to Dustin's career.
yes, that would be super electric.
Yeah.
And I just can't have him. It seems like he might be getting the next lightweight title shot, possibly. I
Islam and
hope
him both tweeting about it, being pumped about it.
hope and pray that he doesn't attempt a single gilly against Islam because that's going to end so poorly.
Yeah, dude, he'd die.
So poorly.
Islam
He
would
can't do that.
Islam would take the soul out of his body if he tried to jump a guillotine on him.
Yeah,
That would be tragic. I mean, like that would not end right at all.
not
Um,
at all. So prayers that that doesn't happen, but God, that knockout was so satisfying. So satisfying. I loved it. I was like I was by myself in my apartment screaming. Like I was going nuts. I was so happy, man. That was awesome.
and as you should have been. I'm kind of shocked you didn't have Dustin as the biggest winner.
No,
Yeah, kind
because
of.
he's like I well, we'll get there. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, well now I'm almost certain we have the same one.
Okay.
I'm feeling very confident that we have the same one. But all right, we'll go to our next fight. Michael Venom Page, Kevin Holland. MVP was as advertised, flashy, fun, knows how to put on a show. That entrance was different. Did you see
Awesome.
what he wanted?
Yeah, I saw him talk about that. That would have been
So
pretty sick.
for some or for anybody who hadn't seen it, MVP talked about wanting to hit Undertaker's music and have the gong hit, and then him appear in the octagon, and then the lights go out again, and him go back to the tunnel to walk out. Which Dana obviously was just like, "What are you talking about?" Imagine him pitching that to Dana White. Do you know the face that must have rolled over Dana's, or the look that must have come over Dana's face?
Dude, also, why does Dana hate on those walkouts so much? Like,
Because he doesn't want to be pro wrestling, but it's like you're owned by a pro wrestling company now. Well, your brother and sister
partner
with
and
right,
the umbrella is like, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
Like you are blood relative to the biggest professional wrestling company on planet Earth now. Get a little showy. It works perfectly well with them. They sell a lot more merch than you do. How about you let these guys put on a show and maybe you'll have some likable dudes? It's not that
Yeah.
hard. Like you
But
can't bring in Michael Venom Page and tell him to dress and act and sound like every other dude in your company because that's how you lose assets.
why do you bring in Michael Venom Page if you're not looking for that? Like he's always done shit like that across his career.
Yeah. Well, and after I heard that, I was like, well, thank God MVP didn't come any sooner
Yeah.
because we would have been robbed of some electric moments in his career if he would have just been walking out in the Reebok shorts this whole time to Tiny Dancer. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this is not who this guy is. Let him be who he is.
The Pokeball celebration is
After
like
he cracked a dude's
probably my
skull
all-time favorite. After literally committing a murder in the octagon, rolling a Pokeball up to his unconscious body
and then doing the little,
is is so.
it is insane. I think my personal favorite celebration post fight is Habib jumping onto Dylan Dennis, but
Oh yeah.
Pokemon's number two. I'll give him number two for that. But yeah, MVP as good as advertised. We knew that Kevin Holland was gonna this be a good fight. He let it be a good fight. Those back elbows, if one of those would have landed and put Kevin Holland out, that would have been horrifying. That could have been bad, dude.
Yeah. It feels like Kevin almost gave up in the third round.
Well, after he got tripped, whenever he was going to high five him, he was just like, man, I'm done with this, dude. It's like, I'm over it.
But no, dude, I was a little concerned about MVP's just his game translating over to the UFC because he hasn't fought anyone. Kevin Holland is the best name on his resume.
Yeah.
Like I was a little concerned about that, but yeah, that was he made it look pretty, you know, I don't want to say easy, but like he showed he belonged in the rankings for sure.
His game plan got to go untouched, and he got that win, unanimously. That's as
Hmm.
easy as you could ask for it. And yeah, but he's also one of those styles, kind of like Sean, where it's like, how am I supposed to get hands on this dude? Because he
Hmm.
moves weird. He takes weird angles. His fakes are always so just jarring. So him, Suga, Wonder Boy, it's like those guys are universal. It's just a matter of if they can continue to avoid those as they get older. And
Hmm.
MVP very clearly can.
Yeah. So great debut for him. I'll let you take the lead on the next fight.
Well, let me talk about my biggest loser first. Gilbert Burns. Uh,
I'm actually with you on that.
Yeah, he had this fight, dude. He had Jack Della right where he wanted him. Jack Della managed to squeeze himself out of the ground game, and then the lights are off. I mean, it was lucky. I will not take anything away from Gilbert in that facet. It was lucky on Jack Della's part. Gilbert still lost the fight because he couldn't hold on to him for those last 2 minutes. Like, it's kind of become Gilbert's story is not matching the moment and not being able to finish out the moment. With Bilal, the hand injury or the arm injury, whatever it was, against Marty, he just wasn't there yet. Now against Jack, he had it. He had a definitive rising star put away, and he couldn't do it. Um, so Gilbert's kind of becoming a bridesmaid, but his bridesmaid status just keeps on going down the card. And it's sad to watch because we know how awesome and fun Gilbert can be, but that's what his legacy is going to be defined as.
Yeah, you're 100% right. A lot of what you said is the reason why I have him as my biggest loser as well. But honestly, the biggest thing, and you kind of alluded to it, is after this, Gilbert is probably never going to sniff a title shot ever again. Like that door is now closed. And that's why he's my biggest loser.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think the Cheeto belt or not Cheeto, but Burns belt chases anything that'll continue going anymore. Because he's what, 35, 36.
36 at least, I think.
Yeah, I know he's not a spring chicken. So
No.
you have to imagine that's done kind of a gatekeeper now, I guess, which is weird to say about Burns.
Yeah. And it sucks because like he he was, before these last two fights especially, like so good, so fun to watch. And like if he gets you on the ground, like you are cooked.
He's
And
37. I just looked it up. So,
37,
yeah.
wow. And there were some moments in that fight where it looked like Jack was done, but Gilbert just couldn't quite finish the job. And like I feel like 2, 3 years ago, he would have, and he would have been able to get that. But
Yeah.
it
It just
sucks.
it's gone now. And hopefully we can just kind of get him into the realm of fun fights instead of meaningful fights and still get some enjoyment out of this until he inevitably decides to call it. All right, this next one, Piotr Jan, back to kind of looking like his old self. Song still came out looking good. That was a big point for me because like that was just a fun fight, and we finally got Piotr back on the winning track, which needed to happen bad.
And Piotr is my biggest winner.
So okay,
Um,
so we do not share.
we don't share the biggest winner. Okay. I
You know who it
feel
is.
like I know who yours will be then, but
Yeah, you do.
yeah, dude, Piotr is just like he's had his career has kind of been a tragedy,
Yeah,
Like
understatement.
yeah, to say the least. Like gets to the mountaintop, first defense, gets hit with the DQ and loses it, and just has some tough decisions not go his way that have kind of knocked him down the pecking order to where he is fighting, in the Marab fight where he just looked completely defeated as
Yeah.
a human being. Like it looked like he'd lost his will to fight after going 5 rounds with Marab. But and even in this song fight, like especially in the first round, I know his whole deal is like he usually loses the first round because he's kind of feeling out the opponent. But every time Song shot for a takedown, he overreacted. Every time Song loaded up on a shot, he overreacted. It looked like he was a little scared, like especially during those first, like honestly, even 7 minutes. But as soon as he like just found his range and kind of got his feel, like he reminded everyone like who he is as a fighter and why he's so dangerous. Um,
Yeah,
and so it was cool.
there were definitely alarm bells going off after that first round, like you were talking about, because I mean, obviously the feeling out round for Jan is something that, like you've mentioned, has been there pretty much his entire career, but not ever that skittish. Like you
Yeah,
could define that first round as skittish for Piotr Jan, but then you get into round two and three, and it all kind of it almost looked like in at the end of the first round he realized that he's not in there with Aljo and he's not in there with Sean and he's not in there with these megalodons of his weight class. Song is a very talented dude, but he's not a champion. He's not that vicinity. So he's like, okay, we're working with something here. And then it finally he went back into old Jan and started doing what we know he can do, and the rest is history.
yeah, exactly. And that like to me, being able to get back on the winning track and not have his career get derailed even further by a guy who he is without question better than. We knew it before. It was really just a mental thing, I think, for him, whether he would be able to win this fight and kind of get back on the right side of things. But like yeah, this puts him back into not immediate, but if he gets one more win, he could be right back in the title picture.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I think that's honestly the biggest thing is that, he's back where he should be.
especially, and I know you're not gonna like this, but especially if Sean beats Marab.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Like that's right there. Because all you have to do is be like, look, go back and rewatch that fight. It was a pretty close one. No matter who you had winning, you can admit that it was a close fight. Let's put them back in here, 5 rounds, see who actually has this. And good as gravy. There's your pay-per-view. Speaking of, Curtis Blades is going to have gone from the what was this, the early prelim or featured early pre or the
Featured late pre.
okay. Golly, this card was so long. I'm getting lost
Yeah.
in, but he went from the featured prelim of 299 to almost definitely a main or co-main fight on his next fight because Aspinall wants it. He wants it. He knocked out Jailton Almeida. He is my biggest winner. He is inevitable. He is the Bilal of heavyweight.
Yeah, this was I mean the biggest winner was between Piotr and Curtis Blades for
Yeah,
me. Obviously, I'm kind of a Piotr Jan homer, so I was gonna go in that direction. But
of
yeah,
course.
Curtis deserves all the credit in the world. And honestly, like this is to me, like this doesn't drop Jailton's stock all that much.
Mm-mm.
This was something I think that probably needed to happen for him to kind of stop crotch sniffing.
Yeah,
But you look at what he did to Curtis in the first round, and you could tell that he's got some special talent that he just kind of needs to continue to hone, work on his striking a little bit, but it's there. He's
yeah.
got it.
The,
Curtis
the
just kind of exposed his immaturity, you know?
Yeah, he waited for his moment to actually strike. He knew that he could survive with Jailton. He knew he probably wasn't going to win, but he waited till he had that moment and then he took his win. This is kind of Curtis's knocking out Sean Brady moment for Bilal since I comped him. Now, obviously, Jailton looked significantly better than Sean Brady did in that fight, but it's one of those things where it kind of fans are going to get very into Curtis Blades now, which is not something we would have said six
Yeah.
months ago. I mean, literally a week ago, we would have never been like, yeah, there's going to be a big contingent of Curtis Blades fans. But here we are. Him getting that match against Aspinall, for one, deserved. That's very logical booking. I can appreciate that that'll be for the interim, hopefully on the same card as John and Stipe. So it can just essentially work as the unification fight whenever these two dudes retire. Um, but yeah, to be honest, the person I thought that came out second best from this card has nothing to do with her fighting, but Macy Barber. People are talking about Macy Barber more than they are just about anybody else on this card, because of Joe Rogan's little comment
Yeah.
and
He's
all
not
the other
wrong.
stuff. No, he's
Not
not.
wrong.
But he's not. But it's one of those things where it's like I think a lot of fans are now going to be big Macy Barber fans because of you know certain reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was listen, Caitlin Chukagian, I'm gonna keep calling her that because that's what I'm
Yeah.
used to.
What's her new last name? Sermonara?
German
Okay.
Germanara, yeah. Um, but yeah, she's always been in the top three of flyweight. So this is a huge step forward for Macy. I think um she got rounds 1 and 3, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe she got all three. I remember Caitlin had a pretty nice second round. It could have gone to Macy. I don't remember the scorecards exactly,
I
but I
don't
know
know.
for sure Macy won 1 and 3. She looked awesome. Her clinch work is pretty top notch, is
Yeah.
what I took away from that. Like, I don't think I've seen better clinch work in any of her fights, any of her previous fights than that one. She looked really good against someone who's taller than her, has longer reach. Like, that was impressive.
And credit in the world, all the credit in the world to Caitlin Chukagian Sermonara for even getting this to five or to the scorecards. Um, I think most other fighters in that division probably would have been finished, but that just kind of shows the level of Chukagian being able to hang in there with just about anybody. And she did a lot. Her stock didn't really drop for me. Like, she clearly was not the best fighter in the cage that night, but she's still at the level that it's required to at least not make it look like a total just abomination. So
Yeah.
credit to her for that. But Macy, she looks different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and while we're on the topic, before we move on, this is something that I actually forgot about that we probably should have talked about earlier is the fact that Grasso and Valentina are
Yeah.
doing tough, which
Yeah.
deserved. I think the draw absolutely screwed Valentina. We've been over this. So I'm glad that they're running it back for a third time. But where I'm going with that is now you have your girl, Erin Blanchfield, sitting around twiddling her thumbs, and I think her fighting Macy, two young rising stars in the division, would be a pretty awesome fight.
It
To
would
see
be
who
an
gets next.
it would be an awesome fight, but I want it to be for a belt. There's money to that fight. And like, not to be, mean or anything, but you can't say that a lot about many women's fights. With the current state of the divisions, you can't say that. I would rather see Blanchfield go up to Bantam to take the belt from Raquel or whoever's holding it at that point in time,
Yeah.
maybe earn a defense or two while the Grasso Tina stuff works itself out, and then go for two belt status, or drop Bantam and move back down, or whatever she wants to do. But I think there's more value there, and not necessarily to run for Macy, but like you can get an actual draw from that fight, and I don't think that's one that you waste as like a title eliminator.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's just, now it's the both of their ascension is kind of, delayed because of this fight. But
Yeah,
at the same time, I think you agree with me that this was the right call
yeah, oh, yeah.
because of the way the last fight went and the questionable scorecard. Like this was the logical next step.
Well, and you need two tough coaches that will actually fight each other.
Yeah.
There's a pretty solid chance that this tough main event
Happens
happens,
before
but yeah,
McGregor and Chandler.
like, and I don't even know when they're shooting, when they're airing, when they're whatever, but we're not past that option. Like, we're not out of that realm. So it'll be nice to actually see some activity. We all love Tina. This will be really good for Grasso to grow her spotlight a little bit more, even if she doesn't stay champion after the fact. I think it's a win-win across the boards.
Yeah, 100%. Um, but yeah, figured as soon as
Yeah.
I remembered that, I was like, yeah, we gotta talk about it, tie it into this fight a little bit. But now we got Gamrot and RDA, right?
Yeah. Can we
Talk
skip it?
about crotch sniffing.
Yeah. Can we skip it? Gamrot spams takedowns. That's not what we've come to like expect from Mateusz Gamrot, because like he's actually an entertaining fighter. He just looks scared of RDA, which for good reason. RDA is like still really good for as old as
He
he is.
also the first round he kind of shook up Gamrot a little bit
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So Gamrot just had to grab a hold of him and hold him down. So I guess congrats on the win, but it's like you didn't improve your stock any.
No, he's not gonna get. He's gonna get a guy like Fazeev or like
Yeah.
I don't
So,
know,
somebody
the
in that
loser
realm.
of Armin and Charles, which will be Armin.
I about to say, if
So,
Armin loses that, yes, Armin versus Mataush. If Charles loses that, they'll give him a bigger fighter.
yeah, that's true. But
So yes, if Armin loses, that's the fight to make, I think. But yeah, it was one of those that like I was just on my phone for most of the fight. After the
yeah,
first round, I was just like, I don't even want to watch this, dude. This sucks.
yeah.
Yeah. And
But
that's
it what happened? I mean, we at least we expected this to happen. At
yeah,
least we knew Mataush was going to win by decision, probably.
yeah, it was
Um,
just kind of it's some grappling is fun. What Gamrot
yeah,
did was not fun.
no, that was not enjoyable.
No, not in the slightest. Kyler Phillips looked pretty enjoyable though. That was a impressive showing by him.
Yeah, and he was throwing some the kitchen sink at him too, which was pretty entertaining.
Dude, I
I didn't know that Kyler and Sean O'Malley were training partners.
I didn't either. I just thought Sean only trained with Canelo.
But that but yeah, no, Kyler and Sean are training partners, and you can see the similarities in style, especially with just all the spinning shit that Kyler threw at him. Um, Munoz just didn't. He had no room to get into a rhythm.
No,
It was like the most impressive Kyler Phillips performance I've seen to date, I would say.
against probably the most impressive dude that he's fought to this point. I mean, I was quite literally arguing this time last week to not even have that on on our predictions, but I'm very glad that you talked me into putting that on there because um, dude looked phenomenal and should absolutely get top three billing on a fight night card, top two billing on a fight night card because he's just entertaining. And when you find guys like that who are not only good, but they bring that enjoyment in the octagon, you got to push them.
Yeah, and that's the thing with him is like he's had some, kind of questionable losses before, but when he's at the peak of his powers and at the top of his game, he is going to be difficult to stop for anyone at bantamweight, I think. Obviously, you look at the top 3 to 5, and I don't know where he's going to stack up with those guys. I'm sure he could give them some problems. But we'll be able to learn a little more about him once he fights guys who are in that 5 to 8 to 10 ish range, and where he actually stands in terms of being a real legit contender in the division.
Dudes that are more killer and less just super fundamental. Like I like Pedro, but it's mostly about the fundamentals with him.
Yeah, and I mean, he's definitely on the back end of his career too.
Yeah.
So,
The every time they announce him as young Punisher anymore, I'm like, young?
come on, he's 37.
It's like I like you, Pedro, but we might need to just change it to the Punisher.
Yeah,
Um, but also, last one we got here, Michel Pereira. There was no chance he was losing after that entrance.
absolutely not, dude.
Mm-mm.
There's no way. God damn it, I love that guy.
That was
I love
glorious,
him so
dude.
much.
That was so pretty. God. Well, the so he comes out, he break dances, he gets in the cage, and makes a legit tap. It's just the most Michel Pereira type performance you've ever imagined. He comes out full steam and it was just electric. Everything Michel Pereira does is electric. Put him on every card for the rest of the year. We love that guy.
That dude should not be on a fight night for the rest of his career. That dude should be exclusively pay-per-views. Oh my God, he is so fun.
He should get it written in that he has to be the featured pre for the rest of his career.
Well, how far do you think he can go at middleweight? Because he has looked like decimating. Like he is absolutely destroying dudes
He's
at middleweight right now.
he's probably still too old, like to actually make
Yes.
any super damage. I don't care about climbing the rank. I know he probably does because it's like his career. But like if I were him, I would be like, listen, Dana, just put me as the featured pre all the time, every time. And then if I get to the point where I can elevate above that, then we'll reassess. But right now, put me on because I will get you tens of thousands of viewers because I am awesome.
Yes. a hundred
Like
percent. That
you
was like
you know how
couldn't have
many
asked for a better way to get this going.
drunk dudes in bars would spend $100 on your effing pay-per-view if they got to watch Michelle Pereira come out, breakdance, and then backflip somebody's spine in half? Are you kidding me? You know how many dudes would be into that? Like, come on now. You have to hit your demos. Michel Pereira is the demo of the UFC. This guy's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes. He is actually perfect.
Yes.
I love
Like
him.
you've got to do it. You've got to do it. Now, before we jump into these predictions, quickly, my biggest winner, Curtis Blades, biggest loser, Gilbert Burns, Alex.
Mine was Piotr Jan as my biggest winner, biggest loser, also Gilbert Burns. Before we actually get into the predictions, it's going to be a rough couple weeks of fights.
We
Just going to
might
say it now.
we might have to
They're
take
just
like a week off and do like a super predictor somewhere in here because this is just stinky.
it's really sad, but they're dragging us through the mud before we get the perfection that is UFC 300.
If only it had a
I'll
real headliner.
okay. All right. But I will say right now, there will not be a single fight on that card that we are not predicting.
I know.
It's going to break our record.
No.
and we as fight fans, the MMA community just has to suffer through these next few weeks so we can get to UFC 300.
The amount of talent they put on 299 and 300 for hate, just spiting Francis, and then obviously to build up 300 because it's 300, I mean, this could be fight nights for the rest of the year. Literally all 26 fights, well, minus the belt fights. So what is that, three? You could have put, they literally put 24 or 23 fight night main events on these two cards. Like, I know you wouldn't put like Dustin on a fight night, but like the actual spectacle of fights that they put on between these two is insane, and I'm like not even mad that these cards suck.
Yeah, like just gives us something to look forward to.
Right.
It's going to be amazing for the golf fans. It's also Masters weekend.
Yep.
So like I know you're not as big of a golf guy as I am, but you combine 300 and you combine the Masters, like I am just like pitching a tent thinking about that weekend.
Is Brooks at Masters?
Huh?
Is Brooks at the Masters?
Brooks will be at the Masters, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't, because he's Saudi League, isn't he?
Yeah, but they let all the live guys play in the majors.
Okay, cool. So as long as Brooks is there, I might check it out.
Yeah.
Blake of the year.
All
Come on now.
right. Now let's just go to our one
Yeah.
prediction. We were gonna, Kennedy Nzechukwu is fighting. Is he fighting OSP? He's fighting OSP, right?
I think so. That sounds right. I
I
don't.
think
I didn't
so.
write down their opponents. I just wrote down shout out Kennedy Nzechukwu and Christian Rodriguez
Yeah.
because their
Like we
opponents don't really
literally
matter
don't
to
care
me.
enough about this card to know who those two guys are fighting. And
Yeah.
the only event that I'll be watching, I'll probably watch it after the fact, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah. That's a Monday 2 hours before we record kind of rewatch for me, brother. This is not, and it'll probably be 3 minutes of my time because it's Marcin Tybura and Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Like Tai Tuivasa, his momentum is kind of gone now.
He is just kind of doing
Tybura never
shoes on
really
the
had
side of the
any.
road for money.
Yeah.
Like it's over, unfortunately.
Um,
Good.
but I am going to take Tai.
Same.
I just think he's fought better competition. Tybura has been around for a while and has stayed as like the 10th ranked fighter at heavyweight. Um, so yeah, Tai probably knocks him out.
That's
That's what I'm going with.
exactly what I've got too. Ty is just more entertaining, and I'm pretty much just picking who I would rather see win here. Like I could imagine Tybura doing something here, but it's like a Tai Tuivasa rebound would be far more exciting than a Marcin Tybura win here.
Yeah, like at least we'll get to see a shoey.
Right, or he'll like be excited for once of the last year and a half because he just keeps losing.
Yeah.
So that would be cool to see, and everybody loves Australians. So,
Yeah.
yeah, give
Australians are like they objectively might be like the most fun personality wise people in the promotion.
I think just in general.
Probably in general. I haven't been to Australia, so I can't speak on like that
I'm sure there's some
specifically.
pretty cool South American countries that would probably push above it, but
I was
like,
gonna say Brazil has some like you look at guys like Pereira, you look at guys like Charles Oliveira,
yeah,
who are just like Alex Pereira. Um,
I
like
don't know that I define Poetan as fun. Like, I
but
don't
like
like him.
no, but he's like a meme. Like that's why he's fun.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
he's Stonehenge
Yeah.
or the Easter. That's not
Yeah,
Stonehenge?
Easter Island. Yeah, yeah.
But is Stonehenge? No, because yeah, but
Stonehenge
Stonehenge
is
is
in
just the
England.
rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was
Um,
just making sure I understood my landmarks. Sorry.
Paulo Costa.
Yeah. Beautiful man.
Another. Australia and Brazil have got it going on for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
In terms
absolutely.
of fun dudes.
Well,
And pro.
in case we do any more geopolitical rankings on funness, Alex, where can they find those?
Well, they can find them on YouTube. They can find them on Spotify. They can find them on Apple Podcasts. They can find takes outside of MMA
Mm.
and in MMA. at Fox 19 Jackson for this guy,
Yep.
and Alex Eisman KGWN for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just buckle up. We're gonna have to deal with some shit for the next couple weeks.
Get strap up for 20-minute episodes and very lackadaisical predictions until we get to 300, because that's what's coming your way. Until then, buddy, you got anything else?
No, I'm all set.
Sounds good. We'll see y'all next time.